Welcome to episode 6 of the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast, where I host candid conversations for the curious. If you're listening in and you're curious, you're in the right spot. And I am super excited this evening because for the second time, I have my very dear friend and one of my favorite mentors, coaches, and women working moms out in the universe, Miss Jen Piceno, is back. And I asked her to come back tonight because I felt called to talk about planning for 2022. And so this has been such a fantastic year for me. I know for you too, Jen. And I feel like there's got to be a little something different in going into 2022. There's been so much growth, so much new learning, so many new people. And so I want to just pick your brain. So I'm going to encourage you, if you're catching us live, awesome, go grab a notebook, grab a pen. I have mine. And just be prepared to write some things down. If you are someone who needs to fully experience something, then just sit and listen and absorb. It's going to be recorded. You can come back to it. You can come and pause and spend some time with any of the journal prompts we might talk about or any questions that come up for you. But without any further ado, I want to pass it over to you, Jen. And my first question for you, before you just say hello and just celebrate being here. I know you're so excited to be here. So what is your favorite thing about the new year coming?
Oh my goodness. For me, it all merges together. So I don't know that there's a favorite thing other than I'm always moving forward and expanding. So there's this excitement, not necessarily tied to the year, but just tied to that forward motion. Does that make sense? Like, it's just like, to me, it's every day it's a celebration. So it's like, oh, yay, 2022, hurrah. But I feel that every day, that build of excitement and with how we do this work in our spiritual journey, every day you have the opportunity to start all over. Every day you have the ability to celebrate and expand and set things in motion that are better to enrich your life. Like, I think that's what life is, that living in everyday forward motion of how can I do this better? How can I have more fun? How can I be more playful? Right? It's the experience of this beautiful journey we're on. I don't think we need to wait once a year.
No, I agree with you. And, I fully intend to take some of this great content and like when you hit those moments where you're like, wait, where am I going? What am I doing? Like, I need a little bit of a kick in the pants to kind of keep me going, that forward momentum, like you said, that sense of how am I doing this better every day, not just setting that one New Year's resolution. Because I think that kind of gives the new year a bad name. This idea of you have to pick something. So, is it, I'm losing 30 pounds this year. I'm finally going to go to the gym 5 days a week.
Well, that's the thing about that. So I come from, a different background. I was in the dance and entertainment industry. I've done bodybuilding shows. I've been in all of those circuits where you see this big spike of people coming in for their New Year's resolution. January is solid and it's busy and everybody's excited. I'm doing this. And then February rolls around and everything dies back out. So there's a reason I don't like resolutions. One, I've seen it. I've studied it. I've watched the behavior of people, but it teaches people to lie to themselves. It teaches you to not follow through, right? So if you are going to set something, for me, I don't even like the attachment to resolution because most people have done that. I mean, you can look in your timeline. I can look at mine, how many times I didn't follow through. I don't want to betray myself. So I don't do resolutions. But what I do is a year review. So I like to look at my life. Again, this is all about how am I going to make it better? How am I going to do things bigger? Where am I going to have more fun, more joy, and really have that just delicious, orgasmic life that we all deserve, right? So for me, when you're reviewing, if you guys want to write this down and play with this, I kind of set up categories, but when I say that, I say it loosely because life is integrated. You don't have a business life and a personal life and a spiritual life. But I give you the categories so that you can really do an assessment of self and start taking away things that are not as joyful. So not a resolution, just I'm going to do less of this and more of this. And I know you're going to be in my next book, Wealth Codes. I've separated that book into 5 categories, but you can divide that out even more. So for me, it's vitality. Vitality is my health, my wellness, but also my energy level. So if something makes me feel heavy or depleted or just kind of blah, that's going. It doesn't get to stay. And I'm not going to wait a year to roll around for that to happen. This is something I'm reviewing all the time. Like whether it's a client or a person or a task that just really needs to be delegated, that's something that automatically gives me more joy because I have more energy. Energy, I'm more productive. I'm happier in my marriage, and it all has this ripple effect into every area of life. So that's why I say that it's categorized, but it's all integrated because one thing pulls on the other. It's this beautiful string that threads it all together. So vitality. So that's what I'd like you guys all to write down is what is robbing you of your life force energy? What makes you feel depleted? Is it the job you're working in that you stayed in too long? Is it the relationship? Is it you really need to get a housekeeper because that's not your jam? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, just the things that you can take away. But again, not a resolution. Don't pick something that's this big, huge thing. I'm going to lose 100 pounds. Don't do that. Do something that is tangible that you can actually palpate, think about, feel into, and easily remove or call forward.
Right.
Does that make sense?
That makes total sense.
And then we'll go through the other categories. So vitality, which you are beautiful at creating in your own life. And I love you. That is such a big piece of who you are, which is why I started with that one. For me, what fuels my cup and my vitality is really education and investing in myself and being in containers with like-minded people or sacred sisterhood that helps activate me and keep me going at the top of my game. That is something that's very important to me. That goes back into vitality, though, because it boosts me back up. It also falls into the category of community or relationships. So you see how they can be separate, but they all come back together. And where are you at in that space? And some people need to get comfortable with that. I see right now, women are trying to heal those sisterhood wounds. And that takes trust. And where is that for you? What's your comfort level? And feel that out. But everything has to go in a way that feels right for you. You know? For me, that's very important. It's not right or wrong. It's what's right for you. So none of the I should be cutting sugar. I should be doing this. Start with the things that are doable that you can take action on so that you can feel the liberation of success. And that creates more success and it creates more forward movement. And the more that you have those little wins, the easier it is to go after the big wins.
Right.
And everything again keeps rippling out. So it gets easier and easier and easier to achieve your desires.
Yes. Yeah. I completely follow you on all that. I think the thing that really strikes me as different is the energetics of it. So it's that, listen, if you are not energized and enthused by cleaning your house, if it's dragging you down, delegate it. There's people who will happily come do that for you. If you can recruit people you live with, more power to you. But you could always delegate that out to someone and put your energy in the place where you feel more vitality coming back at you. I think that's where the wins really happen. And you're right. That's where success is driven, because you suddenly have all this energy and you're sort of like, this doesn't bring me joy and this doesn't bring me joy, but this does. Okay. So people, listen.
Right. And then strategy, right? Because it can be simple math too, right? You got to get to the point in your business is it worth paying somebody? What is your time, energy worth to you? Like, I can remake the money. I don't get my time back.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel that time is just as valuable as currency. So some of those
Agreed.
decisions that I make is based on that. What do I need right now the most? What is going to fuel my cup? Like, spending time with my son is so important to me, and
Yeah.
how I spend my
Yes.
time, right? So some things need to give. I can't do it all for everybody all the time. I choose not to. That
Yeah.
codependent piece is gone, baby. Got to keep it in
Yeah.
check. But some of that is also what we're working on consistently as we're evaluating these categories is,
Yeah.
am I doing this out of obligation, or am I doing this out of joy? Am I
Oh
doing
my
this
gosh.
to please others, or am I doing this out of joy?
Yeah, that consciousness, that's the discernment too. Okay, people, we just have to pause on that note because I think that is so important. That's where you need to have the discernment. You have to know the reason behind what you're doing as much as what you're doing. So if the reason you're doing it is because you think it's what other people want you to do, you want to do less of that. You know, for me, I realized I was doing a lot of things that I was getting pulled into by people I really respected. And it wasn't that I didn't always enjoy it, it just didn't really make me excited and really joyful and filling my vitality. It felt like too much work, too much work. That's why I
Is it
started doing a
too
podcast.
heavy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
heavy, heavy.
Mm-hmm. And that's a way
Yes.
to tell too, if you guys aren't used to like the words of energetics and how that works. For me, things that light me up do feel naturally expansive, like you feel on top of the world. And things that we're doing just because we feel like we have to or should, or it's expected, it's an obligation, that tends to feel heavy and it builds resentment over the years. And I know probably
Mm,
everybody has a few of those things on their list that they can ditch, and not to do it out of disrespect for anybody, but more so to do it for respect for yourself. And that's how I
yeah.
really do look at everything. Am I betraying myself? Am I
Hmm.
betraying myself? Am I honoring myself would be another way to look at that, right? Am I honoring myself? If I'm doing it out of obligation, I'm really not serving anybody, because then I'm kind of like, it's not
Yeah.
from my heart space if I'm doing it truly out of just obligation.
Yeah, that had I've seen a lot of allusion to that recently. You know, even something as simple as I think I saw a meme that said, you know, if you're people pleasing, you're lying to people. It's a
It,
falsehood. It's not truly coming from your heart. And I was like, oh, that hurts a lot,
it
but it's like
does.
it's so true. It's
It's
so
true.
true.
And it's generally, at least for me in my journey, I mean, that was a big, huge part of my journey is
Same.
learning that, because I thought that's what love was. That
Mhm.
we give in that way and we make everybody, do for them, do for them, do for them. And everything was outside. It was all external. But when we
Mhm.
really do our work and we come inward and learn why we're doing it, and if we actually want to do it, it's a different ball game. And then we do start becoming more awakened in a deeper way, more conscious, more alive in that authentic truth of who we are.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. I'm not going to say it's easy just to rip off that band-aid of people pleasing, because I've done it and it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I've been doing this my whole life. But
Yeah.
once you do and you go through that awareness process,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it is like liberation. It just tastes so delicious. It is
Yes.
personal freedom. I
Yeah.
mean, it really is. And it's just as loving to be able to do that, because then you can truly give from your heart.
Yeah.
It really
It's
just lines things up.
it really, really does. Yeah. I love that. So we're looking at these different categories and we're figuring out, you know, what kind of is falling into, is this something I'm doing and I love? Is this something I'm not as enthusiastic about? So how are we going to pull this all together? And we can, if you want, we can throw in the show notes, the different categories that you use, for people to follow through if we don't get to target all of them.
Absolutely. And come up with your own too, because everybody's has a value placed on something differently. Like for me, education and investing in myself, that one is non-negotiable. It has to be there for me to feel like I have vitality. So vitality, education, spirituality is one of my top ones. Like I have to feed my spiritual self. And that is weaved into everyday life for me. But if you took that away, I would be a very angry person. So for me, like when you're doing this and you're looking at your list, like, are you nurturing yourself? Whatever that means to you, whether it's traditional church, whether it's meeting up with a women's circle, whether it's something totally over the top, the shamanic practice. I was a shamanic priestess. Wherever you fit in on how you are fed, it may just be meditating and giving yourself that moment every day, or pulling a tarot card every day. Like, how are you getting nurtured in that category? Or what do you need to take away to give you more time? Whatever that may be for you. Community, again, can fall into that, or how you serve. So for me, community is both, and it's me building that sacred sisterhood and brotherhood, me giving back to my local community, and giving back to the organizations I like Pachamama Alliance and the World Wildlife Fund. That's part of me, but it's also the community that you're building in many different ways, and you have to determine what that means to you. So for us, the author community is one of my communities.
Yeah.
Right. And then I have my alchemy community, and I have my shamanic community. It's all building community, but they're totally different circles of people. So then I have to look at that then and say, where's my joy? Which one gives me the most joy? And then I start figuring out where my time is prioritized, because it's all important to me. Right. And then I have to figure that out. And so feeling into that, what's good for you and what feeds you, because some of those communities are going to feed your spiritual self and give you vitality. So you can start weighing it out that way. Well, this one kind of hits every category. Right. And then relationships. So that could be your romantic relationship. But for me, it's really important for that relationship of self. Where are you placing that on this list? And where are you falling on that? How can you dive deeper into the relationships of self, relationship with spirit? So again, these all are separate, but they reintegrate based on how we, what our relationship is even with the word. And some of that invites us into belief work and mindset work to be able to shift and change things a little bit too. And then freedom is huge, right?
Yeah.
Where do you feel free and expressive? And for me, writing is one of those things, right? It gives me that creative freedom. Dance gave me freedom, but then there's financial freedom. And there's, all of the different freedoms to eat what I want, when I want, to be able to have time. So for me, it's freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of location, and creative freedom. Those kinds of things all fall under that category for me. So that's just a few of them, but you can make your own. But basically what I want you to do is an inventory of what feels good, what doesn't, and just kind of go through your day or go through your month, look at your calendar and feel where your body tightens up, or you feel like, oh, and where you feel more expanded, light, and energetic. If something makes you feel energetic, it's a keeper. If something makes you get kind of cringy, consider Xing it off or delegating it out or whatever you need to do.
Yeah. I used to have such a difficult time with that piece of relinquishing, right? Letting things go. And I feel like I'm getting so much better at it. And I think part of that, of course, is that it's the codependency piece that are people going to feel bad if I abandon this? And I was thinking to myself today, I have a couple things that I started, a couple projects that I was excited about. And I'm sort of I'm not really feeling that anymore. And so I'm like, you know what? I just have to give myself permission to say, it's okay if I let that go. It's okay to move on to other things and different things that keeping something to completion is sort of like the old conditioning, right?
Oh my goodness.
finish it out, finish what you started, pick your, stuck mindset loop. But I was like, you know what? I actually don't have to do that. I can decide to say, you know what? I want to invest my time and energy here. And I know for me as a mom, a worker, an entrepreneur, there is just only so much literal time in the day that I can put things into slots. Of course, I believe in that like crazy expansion into different dimensions, and I play there a lot. But it's not worth it to stick with the things that are not bringing you joy just because you feel like you should stick with it. So I love the way that we're looking at this and we're making that discernment again. Does this bring me joy? Is this worth my continuing, or is it okay to let this go? And so I give you all permission to let the stuff go that just isn't lighting you up. Like what I do for myself, this is my crazy little mind game that I play, my mystic nerd mind game. Like, what if everybody just made that as a practice? Like they went to the thing that was uniquely, weirdly, awesomely, excitedly theirs, and they just lived full into that. Okay. So I imagine like, think about your home, think about your community, think about like expanding, getting bigger and bigger. Like everybody's doing that thing that just makes them so happy and lit up. And then I'm like, well, I want to be part of that world. So that's the self that I want to put out there. And then I'm like, so if I have things I'm not really excited about, it's okay to let them go and just hone into those things that feel good to me. And if feeling good to me is deep diving into a whole bunch of little things and then leaving them, that's okay too.
That's okay too. And that's the thing, is you get to change your mind whenever you want. It's your life. And I love that you are surrendering the things, and I encourage everybody else to surrender too. Don't force yourself to finish, because that is an old belief pattern, right? We've all been down that road. And what it does is it leaves open energy, and that's draining. So, when you have something you have to do, you don't want to do, and you keep putting it off, you keep putting it off, you keep putting it off, that has a heaviness to it naturally. It's just sucking the life force energy out of us. So when we finally make that decision to say, you know what, this really isn't something I want to do. I'm kind of done with this. Like, no, I'm really done with this. Yeah, I'm done with this. Then that closes that off, and you can feel it. It is palpable. You feel you're coming back home. It's like there's this power that comes from just surrendering what wasn't good for you, that you were trying to push through. There are things that you're going to push through, but it's because you want to. You want that end result. And that's where I want people to be able to really look inward and get that clarity. Do I really want to do this? Do I really want to have this? Do I really want to be here? Right? Like those little questions. And it needs to be not an elaborate sentence. It's a yes or a no. And if it's a meh, I'm kind of on the fence, then call it a no. Like for right now, it's a no. You can always turn it into a yes later. But for right now, go down your list, and it should be as simple as, does this give me joy? Does this give me pleasure? Does this feel expansive? Something as easy as that. And just start cleaning things up. And you may not want to tackle every category at once, but pick one and just one or two things that you are comfortable with stripping away, and start bringing that energy back into your life so that your vitality raises, your vibration raises, and then everything will naturally start feeling more delicious, and you'll get braver and more courageous about getting rid of the other stuff that's not in your highest good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. And I think just going back to like sort of the old way of doing things where we, pick a resolution. All right, everybody pick something that you need to fix and
30
change.
things that they're definitely not going to do. It's like,
there's
this list of things. And it's like, come on, people.
Yeah, I know. No.
It's like, it's torture.
It is torture. Like to me, it's like very similar to like, if you observe Lent and you're like, I have to give something up. Like I was always like, I don't want to give something up. I don't want to do that. Later on in life, I was like, no, I'm going to do something. Like, it
Right.
doesn't, like, how am I
Right.
serving anybody by just like making myself suffer? I think that is like one of the big learnings for me this year, or maybe it's the big integration of like, I always kind of felt that, but this year I feel like I integrated it. I was like, I'm not going to do the things that don't light me up, or the things that I still have to do, like, I don't know, pay bills, things like that. Maybe it isn't like something that I enjoy necessarily. Well, how do I make it joyful?
Right.
So,
And we've talked about that. I mean, that's where you
yeah,
do make it playful and make it
playful.
joyful. Because, of course, there are things as an adult that you have to keep in there. But if you turn that itself into ritual and you turn it
Mhm.
into something fun, like you and I are very similar, I think, in our mothering. I'll take everyday things that I have to do at home and make it fun. And we turn it into a game so that it doesn't feel like, oh, all this is on me. Right? Like,
Mhm.
I do try to bring that spirit into everything, and that boosts the whole vibration of the entire house,
Yeah.
right? There's some truth to that. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. There's some truth to that. So you've gotta
I
be
think so.
playful and creative.
Yeah. Yeah. And why not? Why not be playful and creative? I kind of like the image that I get in my mind is like being a 6-year-old and just sort of like, skipping off and happy going to the next thing you're going to do. Like that's kind of how I want to leave the things that I spend my time investing in. That investment of time, I agree with you in terms of like energetic currency, like time for me is that's the gold. That's the
Mhm.
very high value piece of energy in my life. Yeah.
So what are you doing for 2022? Do you have something you're ready to wipe out?
Yeah, I think I do. I think I'm finally in the place where I really want to take like a very high ownership of how I spend my time.
Mm,
And, on one hand, just being very intentional about where my time goes. But on the other hand, that like presence of if I've designated a time to do something, honoring that responsibility or commitment and being 100% present for it.
yeah.
I think I've always kind of been like, all right, I'm thinking about what I need to do next, or, ooh, something else might happen. Like, for example, like being on my phone and, checking for messages while also playing a game with my son, like those are the kind of things that like just a little twist and improvement in the quality of the moment. Like, what can I do better? In this instance, a little bit better is my phone stays in my office when I'm interacting with people. Another thing is like a little bit better is the things that I've committed to, I'm going to smile and laugh through versus like being like, oh, I have to do this. Or even like the audible of like, I don't want to do this. Like when I feel
Yeah,
that
because
audible,
you're programming it in deeply.
I know
Really don't
when
wanna do this.
I really, when it comes on, like just pausing before saying anything and like replacing that with, I am so grateful I get to
Yes.
yada, yada, yada.
The I
You
get to
know,
is so huge.
Yes. So those, I think it's not even in the big things, it's in just those little tiny shifts that are surmountable in a moment. And, but, when I look back at the end of 2022, I think they could be really expansive changes for me. And like the benefits of those. So the benefits of just turning off that complaint mouth and the
Mhm.
benefits of being more intentional and present with people is going to be so huge. And so I feel that. And then the added bonus of that is that I'm here right now in this moment, and this moment is being treasured versus, wasted by my thinking frontwards or backwards, but just like all I
Right.
have to deal with is right now. That's such a liberating idea. Talk about freedom, giving yourself freedom to live just right now, only right this moment.
That is freedom, because so many people are still living in the past, which is unnecessary suffering. And then thinking about the future and worrying about things that haven't even happened yet. So if we could just be more present in the moment, that is pure freedom. And it allows you to just breathe, you know, and really enjoy the life and enjoy the time that you are with people. That's so huge. Putting the phone away is a big one for me too.
Yeah.
Especially
And
when
it's
you're the entrepreneur and you're go, go, go. But when I'm with Aiden and it's movie night, and he polices me on that. Like the phone goes away.
They do.
Like he polices me, and I give him full permission to police me, because he needs to get that full attention. He deserves that full attention.
Yeah.
And this should not be an extremity, like an extension of us, you know. So
I know.
down. And, you know, that is a huge one. I love that you're incorporating that.
Yeah. And I think it's also, you know, that I'm releasing this need to follow clock time as my guide for things being accomplished. So, you know, there is clock time, right? We have to live to some extent with clock time, but I don't need to set things in that way for myself. So if in a moment I feel it's more important for me to nourish and take care of myself, then that is going to supersede any goals that I might have for myself. So goals are great, you know, and setting goals and setting those intentions are great. But sometimes that tendency to attach to that and push from that, like on, you know, beyond everything else, this has to happen. You know I have a historical, you know, tendency to fall into the trap of ignoring myself and just like, we need to get this done. Like that like clench it all together and go, you know, I don't want to do that anymore. And I'm changing that belief pattern for myself that that's the only way for things to happen for me.
Yeah, I'm all go, go, go. You know that. But I have finally surrendered that sometimes I do need to slow down in order to speed up. Because when I don't listen to that, my body does it for me. So now it's a priority for me. And for me, time blocking on my calendar is what works for me. I need that actual, like, okay, you're going on a walk, it says so. And like actually having that visual block where I don't fill it with another appointment, or I don't take on another project. I do put myself first. But it's blocked out. Now, I also give myself the right to change my mind. Like, it's raining, I'm not going on that walk, you know, but then I fill it with something else. What am I going to do that fills myself back up? Sometimes filling myself up does go with my goal. It may be that I continue to write. Because if I continue, then it's done, you know, but without that push through. And that's the part that I want for people to start understanding the energy within everything they do. Because if you can feel those subtle energies of when you do need to go, 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 but that go feels like pure joy, fire, and excitement, that's a different kind of push forward than something that's weighing you down that feels like quicksand and you're trying to still run through the quicksand. It's a totally different feeling. And what it does to your physical body, your emotional body, and your spiritual body is also completely different as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. Yeah. And the taking a break, the slowing down to speed up, I completely relate to that, because I took a break in October and I was like, you know what? I just need a break. I was feeling burnt out, and not in like a burnt out and completely shut down kind of way, but just, you know, really feeling like not sure what I really wanted to be putting my time and intention into. And I had like this like inner voice that was like, why don't you just take a break? Just take a break. just don't do anything, you know, or just give yourself the freedom to just do what you want to do. Right. And I was like, okay. So I did that. I did that in October. And I was like, All right, November, I'll see what my body and my mind tells me. November, it was like, okay, you start again. What do you want to do? And I was like, I want to do my podcast. That's all I want to
And
do.
you have been illuminated since then.
Yeah.
I mean, I see your joy in this podcast, and it's just, you radiate it.
Yeah. So like for me, that is huge learning. And I'm an experiential learner. I think, part of that is my human design. I'm a 1-3 manifesting generator, and our very good friend Christy Sullivan, who will be on the show coming up in February, but she helped me understand that part of the way that I learn is I have to have all those experiences. I have to hit the floor and fail to figure things out. So experientially, it really works for me. And I don't honestly even I don't think about my plan for what I'm doing with my time. It's effortless, it's flow. It's like, okay, now it's time for me to make the graphics. Now it's time for me to talk to people. I've talked to probably more people on the phone in November and December than probably the whole year. I'm not even joking. Like, because I would be like, okay, you have to, reach out to people. I'd be like, I don't know. Now I'm like, oh, I'm so excited I get to talk to people. But it had to come from the right place.
And you have
Right?
this clarity in this direction, but you're
Yes.
in your joy. And
Yes.
that's all the difference.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. When you're in your joy, that's why I want this inventory to be like a part of people's lives, because when you fall into that, where the joy is there, you do more in less time. Like it really
for
does.
sure.
It magically collapses time. Like you said, you talk to all those people in 2 months more than you did a year. Like that's badass. But if
Yeah.
you were gritting and grinding and you didn't enjoy the conversations, that wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And every single conversation I've had has resulted in somebody booking to be on the show. Nobody has been like, it sounds interesting. I don't think it's for me. Everyone, I was like, oh my gosh, you're exactly who I want to be talking to. It was like so complete, like all those things I had learned and heard people talk about, how things can be effortless and gravitate towards you when you're in the flow, when you're doing the thing that resonates with you. I
You're
was
zone of
like, oh
genius.
my
Yeah.
gosh, total zone of genius. Total zone. And all I had to do literally was just say, yeah, I think I'm going to do this. What if I just like start streaming it into my Facebook group? And I was like, I'll figure it out along the way. And I have.
Right. And everybody
Yeah.
can do that. Like this is your inspiration right here, our host. Like do the thing that's going to light you up.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be hard. That's the thing. It doesn't have to be hard.
I know. And I feel like I've spent my whole life making everything really hard.
Because we're going against the grain before. But now you know better. So when you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
And we don't go back. Once you have a taste of liberation and vitality and freedom, there's no going back.
No. And I think what you said about how, like, when you're existing, like in your zone of genius or what really lights you up and brings you joy, it is literally feeding you. It is giving you so much energy back. So, whereas like doing something that I had to be committed to used to feel like, oh, this is going to deplete so much energy. Where am I going to get my energy back? It's like a furnace is being fueled. And after I get, off from talking to people, I'm so excited. I just keep going. Like, this is like all this bonus energy.
So you're not depleting yourself. And that's the thing about when you are doing things that light you up is there is no depletion. You just, it's just continually moving through you. It's a beautiful dance with the energy. Right. And when we're going against the grain and being that codependent person or stuck in a place that we don't need to be, it really does just, it drains us. And that's why we feel drained. People use that terminology. I feel so drained. I slept 8 hours, but I'm still tired when I wake up. That's a sign you're not in alignment. You're not in spiritual alignment. You're not honoring who you are in one way or another, because that energy, unless there's a medical condition, you should wake up feeling energized. You should be able to go through your tasks of your job or your household and feel lit up. Is it going to be lit up all day long? No, because you'd burn out. But you should overall feel good and uplifted.
Yeah. Yeah. It's such a good way to live.
It is. I mean, to me, it's the only way to live now. I've done it the other way. I did it the other way. It's overrated. Yeah.
Definitely.
I say that it's, if you guys are still stuck in that and you can relate to some of the things that we said, maybe it might be time for you just to retire from unnecessary suffering and just pick one or two things and just test it, experience it, get curious with, well, wonder if I just stop doing this one thing that I don't like doing. Just one, try one. And notice what that does to your physical body and your energetic body, meaning how do you feel afterward? Do you feel more energized, or do you feel more depleted? Right? I think you'll feel more energized. So then after you get that, you're going to want to go on to the next one because you're going to want more. More of that energy. And what ends up happening is when you start cleaning house, so to speak, going through those categories, to me, it made me feel 10 years younger. Like, I mean, you know how much I do. People ask me all the time. I do more in a day than most people think is humanly possible. But I feel energized and happy and good. I don't feel depleted and drained. When I was not in alignment with myself, I was tired all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. And, there's nothing like going to bed at the end of the day, having really, truly burned out your battery. And just like, it feels like a well-earned, satisfactory sleep, like going to sleep without all of that anxiety and strife is a different experience. So yeah, I'm 100% with you. I know you have a few more years of experience living this way than I do. So
more than I think.
More than, well, we're gonna make ourselves just a couple. But I really appreciate this advice for people and the real life sort of examples that help put it into place for you. So I want to give you a little time, Jen, because you, like you said, you're doing way more than most people in one day. And you have some amazing things that are coming up. And I want to stress to people that, you can feel the energy from Jen. You can only imagine what she's giving to people in her containers. I can tell you from personal experience that you leave with more energy, feeling lighter, feeling stronger and more empowered from the opportunities that Jen offers, both as a lead author, as a coach, as a shaman. Every aspect of Jen that I've been blessed to experience with her has really made my life a little bit better. So I wholeheartedly, you want to join her free Facebook group. And I want to give you some time to share the things that you have coming up that people can join you in.
I appreciate that. And thank you. I feel the same about you. I think anytime you're in a container, at least for mine, it's so important for me to build those relationships with people. And that's where that's one of my zones of genius, is to build that relationship and try to really support people and hold them and let them feel safe and protected. So thank you so much for being a part of that, because you also gift that to other people that are in there with you. And it does have a ripple effect. I really do try my best to pull in and call forward like-minded people, because it is an experiential thing that is expansive on all levels. So the free group is called Mystic Circle. I would love for you guys to join us there. And if you want to dive deeper into stepping into 2022, I just put in the guide section several journal prompts that might even help you figure things out of what you want to pull and take away from these categories. Journaling always works for me to open up that self-awareness piece instead of just trying to mentally do it. Just allowing yourself to drop in and feel into those things might be helpful for you. In that guide section, there's also a free gift if you want to hear a little taste of my magic, which is channeling the divine with light language. That is a free gift also in that guide section, or you can go to my resources page at jenpiceno.com/resources. And that one is a fire meditation. So talk about vitality and fire and burning things away that no longer serve you. That would be a great one for you guys to listen to going into the new year, along with the free abundance meditation that's there. And then Wealth Codes is coming up in January. So Wealth Codes is a container that is built for monthly activations. And I run it 1 month at a time. It's a cycle. It's always new content. It's always new women coming in. And you come in and you get what you need. Keep it and let it light your way, illuminate your path. Wealth Codes is built on these categories that I'm talking about. It's not just money, although I happen to love money and money is a part of it. I have no shame in saying money makes the world a better place when it's in the hands of conscious-minded people. And that is the mission of the book Wealth Codes that's coming out, is to start teaching and educating people both through my courses and through these books that wealth is neutral. We give it its power and we get to choose what the spirit of money is. And I'm choosing to give soul to money. So as we're going through Wealth Codes, we're working in every area of life while we're building our financial wealth so that we do good things in this world and it ripples out. So I would love to see you there. I've got so much else going on, but I don't want to take up more of your time. But everything is in my group and my online space, and just come on over. It's so fun.
Definitely. I highly recommend to everyone, and definitely go and check out what Jen has going on, jenpiceno.com. Sign up for her newsletter, which is a great way to stay, on top of all the things that she has going on. And of course, I will always be singing her praises over in my free Facebook group, Being Well with Kelly. And she'll be back because we still have to have our episode and really dive deep into codependency, and because both of us have a lifetime of experience.
From it, but yes, a lot to tell.
Well, a lot to tell and a lot of growth, having let that go. So I think that will be something we'll revisit in the new year, to share with people that process of letting it go. But I want to thank you again for being a tremendous friend. This year has been like such a budding friendship between you and I. I feel like we're, sisters from another lifetime. Most and definitely. We found each other. Right. And so, you are always welcome here. And I'm just so grateful for you. Definitely one of the things I'm celebrating about 2021.
I can say that about you. And that's that sacredness. You fill lots of my categories, woman. Like you really do. And for all of you, like that's the one thing that as we're building these containers, and I know Kelly does it in her group, and it means the world to me and mine, sacred sisterhood. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. It makes all the difference. Just find that person or those people, that tribe. It will make your year skyrocket in the right direction. It really does.
Yeah. And if you're looking for that tribe, you're in the right place. Just follow Jen and I and join some of the groups that we're involved with. We have found this amazing community of women and men who are really for the best in the world. So anyway, thank you, Jen. Thank you. And you all go back, start from the beginning and go through some of these categories for yourself. Take that inventory, put it down on paper. This will be available for replay so you can check it again and, sip some yummy tea or coffee or cacao and grab your notebook and a pen and really deep dive into what you're ready to keep and what is ready to go. All right. You have been enjoying the Mystic Nerd Squad podcast, Candid Conversations for the Curious. If you found value in this podcast, please follow, like, and share. And if you have a moment to spare, go ahead and give us a review. If you'd like to know more about me, you can head over to beingwellwithkelly.com. Be well and follow your curiosity. You never know where it may lead you.